You don't have to stop dreaming before becoming an author because consistency can transform into opportunities that opens global doors. Welcome to another episode of the Speak With Her podcast. My name is Olaoshibiko Maryam. You can call me Mary the Talker, and I am excited to be the host on today's episode titled The Girl Who Writes From Dreams to Global Doors. Is this your first time tuning in? This is a space where we invite women from diverse fields and professions to inspire, empower, and educate the next generation, especially young girls who aspire to make a difference in the world. Our co-host is unavailable, and I'll be taking on the hosting duty myself. Today, we have an exceptional guest speaker in this studio, an author, a lawyer by training, and a professional in oil and gas industry. She's the author of The Girl Who Went Into Memories. She's here to share her remarkable journey, the lessons she has learned, and how she transformed the dream of writing into global opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Barrister Hafsah Dauda. It's a pleasure to have you here, ma'am, with us.
Thank you, Maryam. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. So, as I've introduced you earlier, a little bit of intro, but for the purpose of those that are just seeing you for the first time, I want you to briefly introduce yourself, ma'am.
Okay, briefly, my name is Hafsah. I am, like she said, I'm a lawyer, and I did my master's in psychological studies with mental health. I'm currently working 9 to 5, and I also write. I've been writing for a while, and recently I published and launched my debut collection of short stories.
Congratulations on being an author, ma'am.
Thank
So, I've been to ask you some few questions. It's not an interview, it's a real conversation, just some little discussions. So, ma'am, how did the journey of writing started?
I'm not sure how to answer that because honestly, for me, I just started writing just one time because I love reading stories, especially when I was younger. I would read anything and everything. So my dad would buy us a lot of storybooks, and Nigerian storybooks, foreign storybooks. So I tend to just read them. And then, I just started thinking if I'm reading these books, and that means someone is writing them. And if someone is writing them, then that means I can also write them. And because I'm very imaginative. So I just wanted a way for me to just tell my own story, tell the stories that I have inside my head. And I think that was just why I started writing. It was just serious. I just started writing when I was really, really young. And I didn't really think it was going to be a big deal.
Okay, well, since you said you started from being a little girl, so you must have held on to one dream. And how did you know that these quiet dreams can open global doors for you? What was the
I
dream you held on to?
I did when you're young, you don't really think that far. When you're young and you just want to do something, you do it for the sake of it because you enjoy doing it. So I'm not sure it has opened global doors because we have a very, 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 very long way to go. And we have like a gigantic dream. But yes, so I don't think when you're that young, you would think that. But as time went on and I started really writing for more than, the sake of it, because I wanted to see it become more. My dream was just to be a bestseller. I always say that I want to be a bestseller, whether it is in Nigeria or globally or, I just want to, I want my readers to connect with me in some certain way. And I don't really need validation from whoever. As long as my readers really like my stories, I'm actually really good. Because I don't think what you write is for everyone. I don't think so. Even the best writers, and Shakespeare is not for most of us because it was such a long time ago. We don't really relate with things that he wrote. And even at that time, I'm very sure he wasn't for everyone. So I don't think my stories are for everyone. But I want the people that my stories are for to really, really relate with them, really like it, and cherish it. So I'm not sure about global doors. I hope we're getting there. But yeah, you don't really know. I think you write for the passion of it, and then you see where it takes you. It's all part of the journey.
Okay, ma, you're already getting there because we seeing it on LinkedIn. It's a global opportunity. It's a global platform. So I assumed it is still on the part of global opportunities. So since that we know you, we are seeing you as an author now. But before then, you weren't an author, and now you are an author. You see yourself as something before, but now that you are now a published author, how did you see yourself? What shifts did you see yourself in?
Being a published author, I think it's a level. So, so I have been writing and publishing for a very long time.
Hmm.
I've had my books on international platforms over 10 years ago. So I
Hmm.
don't know if you know Wattpad, but my first book, which I published on Wattpad, has been read far and wide by various people, Nigerians, international people. I have their comments. I have made friends that are not from Nigeria because of that book. So,
Okay.
so because Wattpad has a way of really connecting you with people, and my readers are the ones that are still holding on to that. Still they're the ones that are encouraging me to publish traditionally.
Hmm.
So yes, even at that time, you could say I was a published author, just not traditionally published. I was self-published on a platform. After that, I started publishing on my blog. So I had a blog where I would write short stories and poems, and then I'll publish them. Many of the short stories that are in my book actually started from that blog. And when I published, people would go read, comment, review. So you could say that even at that time, I was published, just that I was never physically published.
Okay.
So because I feel like there needs to be a definition of what being a published author is, because now it's not just about having a physical book. People read on their readers, on their tabs, on their phones, way more than they read on the physical. They read the physical books. So I feel like I know, it's not even I feel, I know that I had more readers when I was publishing online. My first book on Wattpad had like over 300,000 reads.
Wow.
When you compare it with the people that have bought this book, which, okay, I mean, I've sold quite a number, I think, but you still can't compare with the amount of people that I had at that time. So So yeah, honestly, that's just it. So I think that I have been on that path. But if you're talking about traditionally publishing, then yes, that's quite recent. But being a writer and being recognized as a writer among the people that I'm writing for, that has been, I think that has been consistent for more than 10 years.
Wow. Wow. I did not know that you've been writing for, I know that you've been writing for 20 years as your post says, but I didn't know that you were a published author. And as you've said that there should be a definition of published author. But I am still standing on my question, which I said before we just saw you as a published author since the launch of your book. And there must have been a reaction, maybe a particular achievement, maybe one thing, one change that you see in yourself that, oh, this is what I am looking for, or this is what I learned. So that lesson, that achievement is what I want you to share.
I always avoid that question because I feel like I won't be able to tell the person what they want to hear. So I know that I have people that have been telling me, "How does it feel now that you're a published author?" And then I keep telling them, "I don't know. I'm not sure there's any difference, honestly." I know that I've always wanted to have my book in print, and now I have it in print, and I'm just thinking, what next? So it's like it's a big deal. It's a big milestone, but it's just the beginning, you know. So I'm not sure there is just this huge feeling of, oh my God, I'm there. I'm not there. I
Okay.
am not there. And maybe what played a part is because I published it myself. So, many
Uh,
people tend to pitch their books or they look for publishers and then the publishers publish it for them, do the editing, all the work, publish it for them, do the distribution, do the marketing, everything. I am doing everything myself. And that's why I think the trajectory of the growth of my book is not as fast as it could be because there isn't much publicity. But despite the fact that there is no much publicity, it has actually reached places that I never thought it could reach. And for that,
hmm.
I'm very, very, very grateful to like the community that I have because I'll just be so surprised. I'll just hear someone saying that someone random told them that I saw the book on Instagram, totally unconnected. I saw someone having the book and I read it. Someone randomly messaging me, DMing me on Instagram saying that, I read your book. And I'm like, so at that time, I knew all the people that I sold the book. So I'm like, how did you get it? Because I know I didn't sell the book to you. Oh, I got it from my colleague and I saw her reading, I collected, I read, and I really, really like it. So yes, I'm actually very grateful for that. But for me, it's like, this is, I know I have much more potential than this. So yes, it feels good, but we have, like I said, a long way to go.
Definitely. Definitely, we will always have a long way to go. Even the billionaire, the richest man in the world, will still say, "I have a long way to go." So it will always be, "I have a long way to go."
Exactly, because we're
Well,
always a work in progress as people, as creatives, as writers. We're always work in progress.
yeah, I believe that the more you step into the parts, the more you learn from different structures and we emerge together. So, going back to writing of stories again, there must have been some moment of imagination before even before even publishing it. Let's even go back to before thinking of publishing a book. So there must have been some moment of imagination. Maybe something would even like come into mind that would be like, okay, let me stop. And you wouldn't stop. What kept you writing, even in seasons when life almost convinced you to stop?
What kept me writing is myself. So before I write for anybody, I write for myself. And even I know the difference between the things that I write for other people and the things that I write for myself. My first book, which, like I said, people really liked, I wrote that book for myself. I wanted to read something like that. I checked, I didn't see anyone writing it. And so I decided to do the writing myself.
What's the title of the
Can
book,
you hear
ma'am?
me?
Yes, I can.
So
What's
it's
the title of the book?
called Burnt Clay on Wattpad.
Burnt Clay. Okay. I'll definitely search
Yes.
for it.
You should, even though it's most of it is off Wattpad, but yes, I'm trying to work something around it. But yes,
Okay.
so I write for myself. So I think for me it's like myself. Writing is a way of writing is a way of expression for me. It's a way of letting off steam. It's a way of um it's a way of connecting with myself. So, like I said, I write for myself more than for any other person. I share my things with myself. Most of the poems that I have written, I have not shared with anybody. I just read it by myself. So even the times when I don't feel like writing, when I feel like my creativity has gone, I reconnect with writing because I feel like that's the best way for me to, it's the best way for me to express myself, even if nobody's going to read it. I might not write for 1 year. I can't remember the last time I sat down and I wrote a story because after I got my stories together, I was just working on editing them, pushing them out there for over 2 years. I don't think I have written a short story for over 2 years. I've written other things, but not a short story. But I know that I would still, even though I've been working on other writings, obviously, but I know that I still would, not because of anything, but because I want to, because it connects with me, because I go back and I read them and I enjoy them. And then I read them, I enjoy them. I'm like, okay, let me share with every other person. And the people read them and they enjoy them. So I know that my main motivation for writing is because I like writing. There was a time I really loved writing more than reading. I loved writing at that time. I don't know what happened. It's maybe I can get that time back. But yes, I like writing. I like reading the things that I write. I like sharing them with the people that like reading them and they appreciate them. And I think that's just the main thing that has pushed me all these years to keep writing over and over again to this point of publishing.
Your book, as you've said that you are writing for yourself. So your focus is that you are writing yourself. I think I'm right like that. You are writing yourself. Yourself is in your book. You are just sharing it
Not
for
really.
others to learn.
Not really.
Okay. So
No. I write, like I said, I write what I want to read.
okay.
Yes. So I'm thinking, oh, I think it would be nice if there's a story like this, but there isn't a story like this, so why don't I write it? So
Okay.
I'm
So
not necessarily in my book. I'm just writing things that I would have wanted to read and I can't see them, and I'll just write them so that I can read them. And then I'll share them
okay.
with other people who would want to read them. But then, like I said previously, I really have a strong community. I have a strong community in my family who have, from the time I was in primary school, encouraged me to write. Even when I didn't write my entire time in secondary school and then I kept writing in university, they encouraged me. When I published my on Wattpad, they encouraged me. When I wanted to publish my book, they encouraged me. They showed up my book launch. I don't know if you saw the pictures on LinkedIn, but they were
Sorry.
there and they were super supportive. And if nothing, because of that support and that love and that pride, I wouldn't want to let them down. I would want to, keep putting these things out there.
Okay. So as of your recent book, The Girl Who Went Into Memories, why did you pick that title? What was the inspiration behind the title?
So the story itself is kind of mysticism. It's not about, it's about the girl who actually went into memories. Think of memories as a place, as a physical place, right? And there are things that you have to do if you want to go into that place. And she had to do it. She had to go through the entire journey. It was an adventure. And she walked into memories as a physical place, right? Now that's one part. Yes, she had to deal with grief. She had to confront her loss. She had to deal with it. She had to accept. But she had to go through that journey of going back into memories. That's one thing. But so I hadn't written for a very long time. And then I decided that I wanted to write. And when I do that, I just open my notes app, my documents app, and I just start writing the first thing that comes to me. So I just started with a sentence and then I kept writing and then it was making sense. But I know that the first thing that I started writing was about memories. That I can't remember the first sentence, but I think they said that, I don't know, the first time I went into memories, I was there for 3 days. I think that was like the first sentence. So
I
even
love that
for me,
line.
it was like, okay. Even for me, it was like, okay, so where are we getting to? I'm not sure, but I kept going. And like for me, storytelling is like world building. So Personally, I
Hmm.
want to find out what's going to happen, even though I'm the one writing it. But I want to find out what's going to happen. I don't really usually have everything in my head before I start writing. I build it as I go. So I want closure. I want to know, okay, what's at the end. So I just keep writing to see where we're heading to. So the story builds itself more or less. The first title of that story was Memories. And even when I started writing it, I think I wrote like a lot of words and then I just stopped. And then I went back to my writer's block. And I didn't touch it until months later. Months later, I came back and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Why did I stop? And then I
Hmm.
just started writing it again. And then later on, I concluded it. So that was the thing. That was the story. It was called Memories. But then when I read it again, I was like, Memories doesn't really capture this story. It does. Memories, okay, what else? So I just had to add that it was a girl who walked into Memories. It just, I don't know, it just sounded right for me. But that was the title of one story among the 12 stories in that book. And then I
Hmm.
chose the title of that story because I think that was one of the toughest stories for me to write because it was nothing like anything that I know. It was an entirely different world, an entirely different, everything, even the words I had to form. So probably because it was quite different, that was why I decided to make it the title of the book. Maybe. And I just found it very creative. And I know that most of my creative friends, creative writer friends, really, really liked that story. For them, it was very fantastical, very different. They knew that it needed a lot of brain work and creativity and imagination for it to come to life. I knew that it needed that for it to come to life. So probably because I appreciated the work that I put in writing that story, I decided to adopt it for the entire book. I could have chosen any one of the 12 titles, or I could have formed a new title. But I mean, honestly, it just felt right.
Well done. About this grief
Yeah.
something, about this grief stuff, human emotions. How did you think of turning deeply human emotions into story? And what truth can storytelling reveal that everyday conversation sometimes cannot? Like, if I want to have a conversation with you about my personal feelings, I can. But what is the difference between having a real conversation about human emotions and putting it down as a story?
So personally, like I said, my best way to create to express myself is through writing. I journal when I get overwhelmed, when I have like when I'm going through a lot of things that I can't process on my own. I tend to journal. And as I'm writing, I find out that these things are unraveling and my emotions are beginning to make sense to me. Um, it's like I'm telling someone, but I'm telling no one. So I write in a way that is very raw, very vulnerable, knowing that I'm not going to share it with anybody, but I'm writing like I'm sharing with anybody, everybody. So personally, it's a very creative means of letting steam off for me. So because of that, I tend to write, and it's easier, way easier for me than to have a conversation. It's easier for me to write about things than to talk about them. And probably that's why I chose to write because I really like telling stories. But I found out that I'm not a very good oral storyteller. I don't think I tell good stories verbally. So I decided, okay, why don't I just write my stories and then people can read them when they want them, how they want to. So yeah, personally, I feel like that's the best way. And another thing is that as you're writing, you discover things about yourself. It can get very philosophical for me when I'm writing. It's just like you write things that when you come back to read them, they sound amazing, even to you. So, like I said, I journal a lot. So when I journal, and at that time, I'm just writing things that are coming to me. I'm just expressing myself. But when I come back to read them, I kind of connect with what I had written previously. Now, imagine I'm sharing these things with other people, and then people are connecting with what I have written. I feel like writing is a very timeless way of capturing moments, expressions, people, feelings, things that makes it kind of immortal. It immortalizes all these things. You are, I believe that your podcast, you're not doing it for majorly the audience I hear. You're doing it to document it, and then you're going to share on your platforms for people to watch today, tomorrow, or days later, right? Months later,
Definitely.
whenever they want to watch. Thank you. I think we're doing the same thing because I'm also documenting in a way that is going to be here even when I'm not here. But if I have that
Hmm.
conversation with you, it's just me and you. Who else is going to read them?
Definitely.
At the end of the day, I communicate what I communicate, you understand what you understand, and then you go further and you probably forget what I have said, and our memories are not as reliable as we think they are. And probably, I think I, being a psychologist, plays a part because I tend to connect with emotions a lot. I tend to value emotions. I feel like as a people, we don't really let ourselves feel the way we should, right? We have been told to manicure our emotions for it to be more or less either you're happy or you're not happy. And every other thing is a taboo. And even when you're not happy, you shouldn't show that you're not happy. Just be happy all the time. That, as far as I don't believe in that. So for me, I believe that people should go through the emotions. And that's why when you read my book, when you get a copy of my book, you'll find that my dedication is to humans. I wrote to humans, so simple yet so complex. Because as humans, we are very simple. Once you get to understand people, they're very simple. But once you get to understand people, they are the most complicated beings on earth, right? So humans are simple on the face of it. But when you dig deeper, they are actually very complicated. You can't really understand people. You can't really understand yourself. So I write in a way that that digs deep into all of that. When you read my books, another reviewer of mine said something that when she read the books, she found out that the characters have one thing in common, and it's that they are all human. And I think that's just what I want to capture. We tend to write in a way that we villainize one person and then we make another person the hero, you know, especially most of the books that we have been reading. There is always a clear cut hero, a clear cut villain. The villain can never do anything right, the hero can never do anything wrong. And then we have side characters, and we still think that in our lives it's the same thing. In your life, you think you're the hero of your story. And if you have someone that you have tagged the villain, you think that person is the villain of your story. Meanwhile, it doesn't have to be like that. You can be the villain of your own story. Did you think of it like that? I don't necessarily have to be the hero of my own story. I don't necessarily have to be the protagonist of my own story. So yeah, I feel like it's very complicated, very intricate. Writing exposes that. Writing helps us come to terms with that, and then reading also does that. And there's also still that's the reason why most of the most important scriptures that we have, which are the manuals of our lives, whatever your faith is, are in written form. Your Quran is in written form. You sit down, you read the Quran, you ponder. The first thing that the Prophet was told was Iqra, read. Reading is very, very important. But so is writing. Because oral tradition has been, we have had oral tradition, which you said, like you said, the conversation, why don't we have conversation? We have had oral traditions in Africa, but like right now, our history, our folk tales, they have all been lost because they have not actually been documented in writing. Imagine if we have these texts written, you would know your history not from the mouth of a white man who came in and decided that this is your history. You know your history for what it has always been. But because these people knew how to write things down, they did that, and now they are the ones that are telling us our history, which is not necessarily true. So I always implore people, like, if you want to give yourself therapy in yourself, by yourself, therapy, the best way is for you to journal. Just sit down one time. If you want to write it with your hand, if you want to write it on your phone or whatever it is that you want to write it on, do that, but be very honest with yourself. Write it down. be very raw, and then just close it out. You don't have to delete it at that time. Close it and just continue with your life. When you come back a week later, a month later, a year later, and you read that thing that you have written at that time, it's going to be so profound. That's one. Number two is going to help you, you know, look at the progress that you have made. And
Yes.
then you probably would relate with that time at this time. And I'm still the same person because I was going through this at that time. I'm still going through this right now. What have I not been doing to move past what I have been going? So yeah, I feel like writing is one of the best forms of therapy, creative expression, whatever type of expression, and also for you to kind of bond with yourself and your environment. And that's why I prefer it to sometimes to conversations.
Thank you. Thank you for that addition. I really do appreciate your responses so far. And since the aim of this podcast, the aim of this episode is to inspire and to educate young girls. That girl that has been dreaming of writing, or that girl that have been dreaming writing. Not even a published author yet, but you think, you are being unsure if you're on the right path or on the wrong path. And the thing is, I want to ask you today, what does your writing feels like? Is it therapeutic or the other? If it is something that feels good to you, as what our guest speaker just said, she said writing is just like a healing, just the emotions that you can complete in a conversation. Because you might have a full conversation a day and you won't be able to unleash all your emotions. It happens like that. But when you start journaling today, and you start it tomorrow, and you come back in a month later, likely you will see how you've already progressed, what you need to do, and what you need not to do. So I want to give our audience Mr. Yusuf Sonny, Faru, and Miss Fridaus. I don't know if it is Mom or Mrs. I want to give you an opportunity to ask our guest speaker any question. Do you have any questions to ask our guest speaker? Thanks for joining. Before we continue, you can unmute your mic, please. Okay, I think we have none. So I'll be going with the last question. Okay.
Please, I have a question.
Okay, we are listening.
When is the next book coming? I think that's what everybody
That's
has
my
in mind.
that's my sister, by the way, and she knows not to ask me that question. I've been avoiding it. So
That's nice.
so if there is anybody that knows what progress I have made in the next book, or in quote the next book, she knows because she's the one that has read the first few chapters of that book, right? And she's the one that has told me, that has given me feedback on that. So if you know that I'm working on the next one. It would come when it comes. I'm hoping it's going to be soon. But for me, honestly, my writing is guided by spirits. If I'm feeling like I'm in the spirit of writing, I would write. If I feel like I'm not in the spirit, there is nothing that can make me write. There was a time I was thinking that, okay, maybe if for every chapter I write, I get money, maybe I would write. But honestly, that's not the case. I know that my motivation and my main driving force is beyond money. So if maybe if for every chapter I write, I get readers, well, that's what Wattpad did for me. For every chapter you publish, people read, people comment, and that pushes you to write more. I'm not sure how healthy that is, but if that's the case, maybe I would now want to put the next chapter out there. However, I wrote my first book, like I said, 10 years ago. A lot has changed. More than 10 years ago, a lot has changed. At that time, I was in university. And now life has happened. You get so busy, you get so overwhelmed, you get disconnected. So it's kind of harder for you to contend with that. But yeah, I'm working on it. I have heard the question of when the next book is coming out so many times. So I cannot escape it. But when the time is right, because that's just what prompted me to publish when I published. I just felt like the time is right. When the time is right, I myself can complete that book in a month, and then you just see me saying that I'm publishing, and that's it. But yeah, Firdausi, you'll be the first to know when I'm publishing.
I don't want to sound pushy.
Sorry?
I don't want to push you or sound pushy, but you need to make it snappy. Can't wait.
How much are you launching it for?
We'll be excited to see more of your books, ma'am.
No, hopefully, inshallah, hopefully.
Okay.
Sorry, please let me come in too. But mine is not going to be a question, it's going to be like a commendation. You're truly inspirational. I saw what I read the story. In fact, your story is not just for this generation, it's even for the next generation or children yet unborn. So, and if you look at it, while your conversation, you made mention the first thing maybe the prophet told, Allah told the prophet is to read. And aside reading, even the Quran was scripted in form of manuscripts to show you the important. Even while some people will write, definitely it's important for history's sake. You must write. And if we don't have people like you, there's no how those stories can be documented for future for people yet unborn. So I must encourage you to continue to do this great work, and we'll be there to support you in any way possible, even with words of encouragement, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr. I didn't know you had read the book, but I'm glad you did. Actually, I didn't know you had read the book, but I'm glad you did.
Yes, I read the book. In fact, right now that I'm talking to you, my daughter is reading the book. I told her about this, and she said, please, I should join the meeting. So that's why I joined the meeting.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Yes.
We're going to have a conversation about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. We're really proud of you. We're really proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I told you, my community is amazing.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for the commendation. That is it. That's the encouragement that we need. Thank you. So I'll be going with this last question. For the young girl that is listening today, who secretly writes, dreams of becoming an author, or wonders if her voice even matters, what would you want her to believe about her story?
That her story is valid. And it's not just the story that she writes, but the story of who she is. Because we all have stories within us. And that's something that most people don't, they don't really explore. You yourself as a person are a story. And I feel like if every single one of us if every single one of us writes about our story, it's going to sell. Because you might think that your story is ordinary, but it's only when you write it that you're like, oh, wow, I have stories. I don't think I have stories, but sometimes I sit down and then I write something. I'm like, oh, I actually have a story here. I just didn't know it. So her story, the story of her life, is valid. But then her story that she wants to write is also valid. So most times we think that, and especially because we don't see similar stories. Like I said, okay, let me just digress a bit. The first time you contacted me was on LinkedIn, was because of Chibney. Now, for me, Chibney was the turning point in that I did not think I was ever going to apply for Chibney. I always saw Chibney as someone that other people got. Because I have never seen someone with a veil like this, as far as I could see, with a veil like this, getting the Achievement Scholarship. Sorry for mentioning and getting. But I decided to just give it a trial, and apparently my story was valid. And then I got into Achievement. So if I had just thought that I didn't have enough to put my right leg forward and trust in Allah and trust in my story, I would still have been where I am right now. So yes, the story that you are about to tell, it might be unconventional, it might be different, but it's valid. If you want to write, you just write it. You put it out there. If people don't think it's good enough, you get your feedback from there and you try to make it better every single day until it is really good or good enough. And okay, another example, I have never submitted these stories to a publisher and had it rejected. I've never even submitted these stories to a publisher. So I have no idea whether they would have accepted or rejected it, but I decided to publish it myself. I decided to edit it myself, get someone to print them. I self-published, I self-distributed, I self-marketed, I arranged my book launch myself, all these things, because I felt like my story was good enough to be heard by people out there. So if you trust in yourself, if you trust in the things that you're putting out there, you would push them and you would have people appreciating them for what they are. The reception that my book had was not expected at all. I did not think people were going to read my books, my stories and be like, this is really good. I thought they were going to be like, oh, this is good. I had so much anxiety when the first people read them. Even though, like I said, I had a blog where many of these stories were published and people liked them. But I was like, okay, this is the real world. Now I have to have a face up with that reality that it's out there in the real world. Anybody can read it. Anybody can like it. Anybody can dislike it. Obviously, there are people that would not really like the stories. It's life and it's fine. But the fact that I have so much more positive feedback, I don't think I have a negative feedback. Maybe because I don't have that as feedback, but it's possible that people didn't like it. I don't know. But I have had so much positive feedback. I feel like that's enough for me. So you do it for yourself before you do it for any other person. And I believe that if you continue just doing what you're supposed to do in that context, one day you're going to kind of hit the jackpot because consistency usually rewards you in some way. We have people that were mid. No, we have people that were bad. And then because they were consistent, you rewarded them in some way. And obviously when you're consistent, you're progressing, you're getting better at whatever it is that you're doing. So yeah, if there's a girl out there that thinks she has a story, that thinks she has a strong imagination, that thinks she wants to put things out there, I would every single day encourage you to do just that. Put it out there, have it criticized, accept that criticism, make of it what you would make a lemon, and put it back out there and keep doing that until people accept it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Aja. So, please, this is a comment from my daughter. I would like to read it to you. She said, my name is Isma Sani Bello. I would like to commend you for your wonderful book. The story was engaging and emotionally touching. Your ability to develop the characters and convey meaningful lessons kept me interested from beginning to end. I particularly appreciated the way the book explored themes of resilience, self-discovery, and the importance of memories in shaping our lives. Your writing style is clear, creative, and inspiring. Thank you for sharing such a remarkable piece of work. I look forward to reading more of your writings in the future. Isma, your girl.
Oh, mashallah, this is so nice. This is so sweet. How old is she?
She is 30 years old.
13.
Yes.
Mashallah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I hope you share this to me on WhatsApp.
Okay,
and I need to meet her. So I don't know how we're going to arrange that.
Yes. I'll arrange that.
Is it possible she can you put her on the camera if she can see her and appreciate her?
She sent the message to me. I asked her about, she said I should join and tell her. And I also communicated this is what we're doing. Then she sent a message. I'm currently in London.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's so heartwarming. I'm going to send a message back to her. Inshallah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
If you wanted to know why I keep writing this is just this is it.
Definitely, it's worth it. It deserves it. It deserves more and more. I think this is the point where we draw the curtain on the girl who rise from dreams to global doors. This is the end of this episode. Thanks for joining the audiences. I really appreciate you for staying with us, for learning from our amiable barrister, Hafsah Dauda. Ma'am, thank you for joining. I really appreciate your presence, your sparing your time and everything for us. We are happy you are here. We are excited. We are learning from you as well. Thank you so very much. This recorded video will be uploaded on the Speak With Her podcast on YouTube. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Bye for now.